Welcome back to SwitchCorner, some quickfire reviews for you today as we're taking a look at Wintermoor Tactics NBA 2K21, Party Hard 2, Samurai Jack, and then finally Othercide. Here I'll be giving a score for those games I've completed and then anything else, basically my first impressions, and just kind of let you know, do I intend to, carry on? Do I intend to beat them? Because with sizable backlogs, it's a very real question we no doubt all have to face. So with that, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here, join our growing family, and let's get started. So first up we've got Wintermoor Tactics, and I'm going to put it out there now, I adored this game. Wintermoor Tactics basically brings together two gameplay pieces. We've got exploration of a school grounds and then moments of turn-based strategy. The story basically goes like this: you are part of a fantasy club playing this game that's clearly influenced by a combination of, let's say, Dungeons and Dragons and then Warhammer. Happily minding your own business though, one day battling it out, at your club, the head teacher calls an all-student meeting. This head teacher though, a little on the eccentric side, that is for sure. He calls a meeting though, announces a snowball tournament, and all clubs, they must take part. If a club loses a fight, your club will not only be disbanded, but all privileges taken away. Here though, you quickly realise the strategy you've been, tackling every day can be applied to these very real-world scenarios, and there ensues the gameplay loop. Explore and get to know folks in this world, turn-based strategy at the club against all sorts of fantasy creatures, but then also turn-based strategy during these snowball fights. This story of escapism I really enjoyed, and there's the occasional nod to the likes of, as I mentioned, Warhammer, Harry Potter, and then things like Lord of the Rings as well, and I really appreciate that. I think what really brought this one home for me though, the visual style, 3D isometric, but almost expertly hand-drawn, with each character capturing their own unique and for sure over-the-top personality. It is a very relaxed game and will be good for beginners to this genre. I lost maybe one battle and that was it. Come here more for the ride than a challenge in its turn-based elements. With 40 main battles though, 7 playable characters, a great world to explore and a few secrets to uncover, it took me roughly around that 7 to 8 hour mark to wrap things up, but I also will say I see an opportunity now to go back and maybe tackle a few things I missed along the way. Good stuff, and a 7 out of 10 from me. Alright, so sports fans, NBA 2K21, the early entry of no doubt the best looking sports game on the Switch. It's back, and I'll be honest, I'll put it out there now, not changing up a huge amount. Graphically, it's nearly identical to last year's entry, and if you didn't know this, the next gen PS5 Series X versions, they're being built from the ground up. So I think this year with these current gen versions, we're basically seeing a roster refresh and maybe a few changes to a few of the mechanics, and that's basically comes down to here, this shot meter. Here you get a meter that pops up above your head and you need to time it just right to land that next shot. The better you are, let's say 3-pointers though, the easier it will be. It took some time to get used to, I gotta say. I suck at NBA already, so making it more complicated was a bit painful. Also, it seems to make it all feel just a little bit more luck based than ever with the percentage odds of scoring that appear. It's always been there, now it just kind of feels like they're highlighting it just a tiny bit too much. Outside of that then, there's not a huge amount of difference I noticed as a casual NBA fan. Literally on a scale of 1 to 10 though, at being useless at NBA, I'm probably a solid 11, hence you're not seeing a full-blown review. With this one honestly then, microtransaction city on display as always, with packs and all sorts of ways for you just to kind of part with your hard-earned real-world cash. Not a practice I agree with, but you know what, you can just go ahead, avoid it, skip it, basically just skip the ultimate team mode. Then I will say I was kind of hoping Character Creator would work this year, the app where you can take a photo of yourself, make yourself a star player, but no good again sadly, still crashes on me every single time. Good game still, in fact I'll be honest, it's the best NBA has felt on the Switch, but I think making a purchase this early is going to be for the die-hard fans only. Just not enough change to really elevate this one to a must-buy. Still a good 7 out of 10 if you don't mind the fact it's going to try and occasionally, force that credit card out of your pocket. You can't deny it's about as good as basketball gets, and there's still something incredibly impressive about just seeing these visuals, especially in handheld. So Samurai Jack now, and I gotta say I didn't expect much from this one, and while it doesn't break any boundaries, still had a great time with it. First, visually stunning, capturing its source material perfectly in 3D. I was actually surprised, to be honest, at how well it all works, as the animations, the cutscenes, never loses that connection, and an easy thing to see happen when you go from like 2D to 3D. It's kind of old school, honestly, as well in its gameplay, positioning itself somewhere between like mild hack and slash, which makes sense given you're a samurai wielding a big ass sword, and then 3D platforming and puzzle-like exploration. Of course, then just to kind of round out the package, throw a ton of collectibles in there too. I was impressed though, I gotta say. I mean, it is repetitive, there's no doubt about it. I even think they could have probably shaved a couple of hours of gameplay off here with some fine tuning, and then clocked it in around the 7 to 8 hour mark. But honestly, as I said, I still had a lot of fun with it. The world's interesting, the voice actors return, which definitely adds like an air of quality, and I would happily recommend this one to Samurai Jack fans out there. I think they absolutely did the series justice, and the passion is clear from the very beginning. Retailing then under AAA pricing as well, yeah, this is a winner and a good 7 out of 10 from me, and 7 out of 10 seems to be the running theme of today's video this far. Sometimes though, you just need fun, and that's exactly what Samurai Jack does. It's not smart, but I was smiling from beginning to end, and it's always good to see loved characters treated with respect. So Party Hard 2 now then, and if you played the first one, I was a big fan. The idea was this: someone was creating a whole lot of knives at a party. You're a psychopath, so you sort things out the only way you know how, by killing everyone in sight. Party Hard 2 gives more of the same, but brings a bit more on the strategy side to the table by giving you more focus on like particular targets at a location. So think, let's say, the drug dealers, the DJs, and then maybe the owner. It's like Party Hard met Hitman and said, oh, okay, maybe we can add a bit more brain power to the gameplay, and it absolutely benefits from it. Stealth and planning was always needed in the first game, but now more than ever, you'll be kind of learning movement paths and just figuring out, you know, how can I get to this individual without anyone ever knowing. It leads to a lot of fun on the experimentation front, from like cornering them in a room for a quick kill to setting off an explosive to maybe like some sort of trap that electrocutes them, particularly like brutal. Going back to the original Party Hard though, I gotta say, I always had that feeling of there's more potential here, more challenge, more strategy that they're missing, and I think that's what they deliver here. Sometimes you don't need to, you know, reinvent the wheel, but fine-tune like what you already have, and thanks to that, this one feels very different to what we got first time around, never kind of losing though its identity. Solid mechanics, a hell of a challenge, a new fancy visual style that I absolutely adored, and yeah, consider this one a winner and a great 8 out of 10 from me. I'd love to see them next time just build on a few more reasons now to head back and replay it, because that's really the last piece I'm missing personally at this point. Not just other difficulty options, but surely there's more they can kind of build out in this package. So our final game of the week then, Othercide, and this is a beast of a strategy game. I had every intention on attempting to beat this one in quick time and then put out a full review, but it turns out not only is it hard as nails, but it's also seriously lengthy. With an average playthrough, it's lasting anywhere from 20 to 40 hours. This one as well, it sets up your expectations nearly immediately by telling you the game expects you to die and you need to learn from it. At that point, honestly, I was sold. That appeals to my personality, but I can say now, get frustrated easily, do not come here. The game's story then, it's weird in the, well, now I need to play more kind of style because I'm dying to find out what happens. Kind of goes like this at the early stage: you are mother, some sort of guardian, who can raise what are known as daughters. These daughters are warriors, each with their own attached class. You will send them into battle then to take down demonic-like creatures who are just out to destroy the world, as always. It all has this kind of gothic vibe to it, and clearly they just embrace the idea with this stunning black and white visual style just to really round things out. To make this really challenging though, not only is it turn-based, but a roguelike too, because, well, of course, it's got to be the most overused like keyword of the generation. That said though, like, I'm having an incredible time here. The visuals at times can be a little rough with pixelation apparent, especially on our characters, but the sheer creativity and design makes it easy to forgive. You might also be thinking that text is tiny, and yes, it is. But fortunately, they've optimized this one for handheld and it's perfectly sized and crisp. In fact, I found the text easier handheld to read than what you are seeing now on screen in docked mode. It runs perfectly, or at least it has so far. I'm about 6 hours into this one, and will I keep on playing it? Has it done enough to get a recommendation? Absolutely, but I will warn just genre newbies, expect for a steep learning curve, and honestly, even veterans, it's been a while since I've had my ass kicked just so swiftly. Tons of mechanics to learn though, new abilities to uncover, that story that's absolutely intriguing. It's making for one of the more interesting games I've played so far this year. And that is it. Cut the list down from 10 to 5 just to give a tiny bit more detail on each. Let me know what you do think of this video type. It's a great chance for me just to highlight games that you know may not fit into the typical schedule. We'll have another one of these then, in fact, in just a couple of days, as I'm wrapping up a couple more games right now. As always then, like a shout out to the patrons of the channel who are just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. Helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then, as always, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.